if you realize what makes you money in your business, you realize, where is that money? How do I make it? How do I go get that money? You're the person that does that. And so figure out how to use your time so that your time is spent on the money-making stuff.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello everybody, it's Neil Ball here. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifices, failures and successes. I am so excited to bring you our special guest today, Dana Wilde. But before I introduce you to her, I just want to give you a little bit of a quote to think about. Larry King said, "You got to ask why questions such as, why did you do this? Because a why question you can't answer with one word." The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Dana, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
Yes, I'm so looking forward to this. Thank you for having me, Neil.
It's a pleasure, and so am I. Dana Wilde has taken two businesses from zero to $1 million in 19 months. Now at the Mind Aware, she teaches you how to train your brain to do the same. Dana, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and your personal life to allow the listeners to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Yeah, let me give you kind of a little bit of background. I actually started in the corporate world right out of high school. I had a very working class kind of background, and we didn't, it wasn't part of our culture, so to speak, to go off to college and that type of thing. So I went right into the workforce, and I hated that. It was a cubicle job, and I just hated it. And the one benefit was that when it was a huge corporation, so they gave us this training that was all about how the brain works. And we were able to get out of our cubicles for a week. We were able to learn from a man named Lou Tice, who was very well known here in the States, about kind of how your brain creates your outcomes. And it just changed my world. I was 19 at the time. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And I immediately quit the cubicle job, and I kind of started my great adventure. So I went out, I became a published author at age 23. I worked in the film and video industry for a long time. I won a few Telly Awards, and I went overseas and traveled for 10 years, lived out of a backpack in Asia mostly, but Europe too. And then finally, I landed back in the States, and I was about 39, and I realized, like, oh my gosh, I've been gone all this time, and what am I going to do now? What's my new path? What am I going to do to start my life? And I fell into a direct sales business, as many do. I went to one of these in-home party plan kind of things, and I thought, well, this would be kind of great. Let's do this. Well, I got into it, and I realized that so much of that business, people were teaching how-to methods, how to pick up the phone, how to network, all those kinds of things you do to build a business. But I thought, why is nobody teaching this stuff that I know that I learned 20 years ago about the brain? I mean, this is like so important and the most important thing you can do to build your business. And so I wrote Train Your Brain, and I taught it to my team at the time. Network marketing, some of you know that, it's very important that you grow a team and sponsor people into your business. And our team went from zero to $1 million in 19 months. Just incredible growth, so fast, shattered the company record just by a long shot. The company record still stands today. And in direct sales party plan, that's still rapid growth in any company. Yeah. Well, after a while of growing that business, I finally thought, I think I'm ready for a new adventure. So I sold that, and I really didn't know what I was going to do with myself, but people kept requesting Train Your Brain. And so after a year of kind of lying around and gardening and playing video games, I thought, maybe I should check out this worldwide interwebs thing. So lo and behold, the Mind Aware was born. And what was exciting for me at that point was I knew that I could take this brain material and build my own business quickly. But with the mind aware, that's when I really realized, oh my gosh, we can teach people how to think differently, and they can leverage the power of their mind for fast growth in their business. And now, of course, we have, thousands and thousands of people that follow us, and many, many, many success stories of people who've replicated fast success. So that's the short version, Neil. The Reader's Digest version, as we say here in the States.
Sounds fantastic. Do you have, is there anything more you can tell us about what you actually do with the Mind Aware business in terms of how you tap into people's brain to make them easier to train, or so that they learn things quicker?
Yeah, mainly what we teach people how to do, and we do it through webinars, online training, live speaking, live workshops. I also have a podcast called The Mind Aware Show. But what we do is we teach people, we help people to understand how their brains work. Because once you understand how your brain works, now you can start to leverage it. So let me just give you a little example. Would you like that? Would that be useful?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Okay, so if the 3-minute version of helping people to understand how their brain works is that inside each and every one of us, we have a part of our brain called the reticular activating system.
Yep.
The reticular activating system is like a little matchmaker that lives in your head, and it spends all day, every day, matching up your inside world to your outside world, and vice versa, outside world to the inside world. If you think about the billions of bits of information and stimuli that are coming at us every single day, right now in this second, as you sit in your chair, look at the colors around you and the sensations on your skin and the smells that you smell and the sounds that you hear. I mean, there is so much stimuli every single minute, every single day. And that's what the reticular activating system does. It sorts through all of that mucky muck, and things come onto your radar that match your beliefs in your unconscious mind. But what I like to say to make it easier, because I think Hollywood has really made a lot of money making the unconscious mind sound like this really spooky, scary place. But really what your unconscious mind, if you want to know what's in there, pay attention to what you're thinking about and what you're talking about. Because what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, this is, repetitive thought is what ultimately, a belief is nothing more than a thought you keep thinking, right? So if you want to start paying attention to figuring out what's in there, start paying attention to the results you're getting, start paying attention to what you're thinking about. So once people have that piece of information, then it's just a matter of us explaining to them how to implement the shift in their reality. Because what most people are doing, and the reason most people only experience incremental success in their businesses or in their lives, is because they have something they're thinking or talking about, and the reticular activating system, the matchmaker, is matching up results in the outside world. Then they get a negative result, let's say, and then they continue to talk about it in a negative way. And then the reticular activating system matches it up and gives them more of the same result. Then they continue to talk about it in the same way. And then they can reinforce that belief. They get the same results, and they talk about it, and round and round and round it goes. We call this the cycle of perpetual sameness. Because it just, as long as you continue to talk and think about the same things over and over again, you're going to continue to get the same results.
Yeah.
So what we teach people to do is how to shift the way they talk in a way that feels good. So we kind of take it beyond old school affirmations in the sense that most of the time people can't say things like, I am financially abundant, and have it feel real. We want to give people tools and methods for shifting the way they think and talk, because then now their reticular activating system gets busy matching something else. Does that all make sense, Neil?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I love this sort of stuff. Very, very interesting. So what do you enjoy most about what you do, Dana? Well,
I love getting in and bantering about the new ideas and bringing ideas to fruition. So I'm one of these people that I love to study different topics. And then once I study something, I love to talk about it with the community that we've created, over at the Mind Aware. So for me, it's the being in the sandbox part. And discussing ideas with people and implementing ideas and see them coming to fruition. And I feel that way about not only the brain, but also about marketing. Like I'm a total marketing geek. I love the planning of it, the looking at it, the figuring out how are we going to launch this, the copywriting. So it's the bringing ideas to fruition, discussing ideas, seeing them come out in the world and banging around with other people to make them happen.
Awesome. So what is it that drives you?
I think the core thing for me is I think life is a big adventure. And I think the purpose for me, and maybe this is true across the board, maybe this is not just my own personal truth, but I'm here for joy. And so what drives me is the idea that there's so much to experience and so much fun to be had, and what's next.
Yeah, you've got to have fun, haven't you? It's got to be the driving force behind everything. So
yeah. I like the money too. I'm not going to kid anybody, but the money really is just a vehicle for the fun.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult without it, so you do need that as well. How do you relax when you're not working then, to have all this fun and this big adventure that you're having in life?
Well, I used to do a lot of, you want to have those big experiences, and now I tend to be more quiet in my off time. I'm actually probably by anybody's standards pretty boring. We have pets. I do a lot of volunteering. I work for a no-kill animal shelter here locally in a big way. They're named Caring for Cats in North St. Paul. And so I do a lot of volunteering there, hands-on as well as behind the scenes. And I love to read and walk and, do those little day trips. We do Sunday drives and go just explore different parts of our state. So really, I like the quiet now, probably maybe because my life has shifted where my actual business is so exciting or hands-on or moving all the time. That's probably why my off time is like that.
Okay. Thank you for that. And do you have any entrepreneurial role models? Is there anybody who comes to mind?
Richard Branson, maybe, which is probably everybody's answer.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like about him is he's got that sense of fun and play.
Yeah.
And I really think that for me, that's my model of success. And mainly because, and Neil, this is a really useful thing for anybody who wants to apply it. When you're working really, really hard, or when you're having frustrated or overwhelmed or negative feelings, the creative pathways in your brain are shut down. And so for us, one of the fastest ways to success that we teach people is the more downtime you take, the more off time you take, those walks in nature and those times playing with the dog, those actually benefit your business.
Yeah.
Because the creative pathways in your brain are open during those times. That's when you get the brilliant ideas. That's when you become the happy you. That's when you become the relaxed you. That's when you become the you that everybody wants to work with. That's when you like people more because you're feeling good. So our method to success, we call it in the Train Your Brain book, it's called intentional action. And what that means is get your mindset right first. Get feeling good first. Get to be that best, happy, positive you first. Then go out and take action. And it shouldn't take you more than 3 to 5 minutes most days. But if you make that primary, if you make feeling good primary, that's when you start to have the real fast success. That's when the things you do happen faster because you're bringing a different you to the table. And for me, Richard Branson really, embodies that spirit.
Yeah, he certainly had some big adventures as well, hasn't he, with his speedboats and his hot air balloons travelling around the world. I don't know if you remember him doing that back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. He's always off on some crazy tangents, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. So what I'd like to do now, Dana, is if you can project your mind back to the time before you were an entrepreneur, what difficulties did you overcome when you started your business?
Well, it's funny because everything's always the frame that you put it in.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, when I look at it, I can see like, oh my gosh, was I totally crazy when I started The Mind Aware just 5 years ago? I knew nothing about the web, like nothing. I didn't even know WordPress. I actually taught myself Joomla and built myself my own first website learning Joomla because I was that not aware of what the world was all about in the worldwide interwebs. And so when I think about it in hindsight, I overcame a lot, learned a lot, taught myself a lot, to do it. But of course, at the time, I wasn't putting it in that framework that they were challenges to overcome. I was looking at it in the framework of, ooh, what's this fun new thing I get to learn?
Yeah.
You know?
Good way of looking at it. So did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
When I first started, I invested in a really expensive program for, and unfortunately, I would recommend it, except that the guy who ran it is not doing it anymore. He's off on his new adventure. But one of the things that was part of the program was he said, when you have to make a decision to become the trusted authority in your niche. And I wasn't really that serious about my business at that time. It was still just kind of playing, like, oh, what's this all about? I didn't even have a product. I had no product, no nothing, you know. And he said, you have to make a decision that you're going to have to step up and become the trusted authority in your niche. And at that time, my niche was party plan direct sales. And I said, okay, well, I paid all this money for this program. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make that decision. And when you make a decision like that, in for me, and I highly recommend that for anybody, claim your space and make your decision. And when I did that, immediately you have that argument that, for me anyway, goes on in the head, that angel on one shoulder, devil on the other, where there was that voice of like, well, who do you think you are? You're not, how are you the trusted authority, you know? And so really, I think that's the quote unquote work. And that's the work that we do. And that was the decision I made at that point was, okay, if you're going to do this, then you're going to train your own brain, and you're going to train your brain to quiet that naysayer and go, okay, cool, thank you for sharing. Now let me move on and just go do this thing. I don't have time to talk with you about those doubts right now, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think anybody'd be crazy to say, if you dream bigger, every time you dream bigger, and I remember, I hope I'm not running out of time, because this turns out to be a really long answer, longer than I thought it would be, Neil. But
okay,
I remember interviewing Jack Canfield one time, and I asked him the same kind of a question. It was like, you know, come on, is there a point? You know, do you just worry? You still worry, but you just worry and you add a zero and you worry bigger, or how does it work? You know?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I continue to launch bigger and bigger dreams. So as long as you continue to launch bigger and bigger dreams, you're gonna have doubts about whether you can attain them. You know, you don't have any doubts if you stay small.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, that's so true, right? So anyway, that's my very long answer to that.
Fantastic answer. So what mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Well, learning Joomla was a very big mistake. No offense to the people out there who love Joomla, but here's
WordPress
the deal.
is easier.
Yes, exactly. And obviously, Joomla is a great program for the people who that's their livelihood, like they're out there building websites for people. But know what your strengths are and know what you're good at. And so I think if I had to say a mistake for me, it probably would be waiting to step up. I still, even now, just this year, I'm really stepping up even more in a bigger way. And it's this continual opportunity for challenging and growing and stepping up and saying, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to claim this space. So the biggest mistake ever, my whole life, all the way on my journey, has been stepping up in a big way, faster and faster and faster.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear that. So what are some of the things that you did before you started your business that would be helpful tips for us, for people who haven't started yet, taken that first step on the entrepreneurial journey?
Well, besides the obvious that I've already stated.
Yeah.
I think
You got ahead of me there.
Yeah, exactly. I think mainly the idea of sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, and I don't know if this is across the board, but it certainly is true for me, you have a pioneerial spirit. And so a lot of times, a lot of things seem fun, and they seem fun to learn. And I know I've gone in and I've learned every single aspect of my business. I've done every single aspect of my business at some point or another. But having said that, I think if I could do it over again, I would farm out more of those projects on a project basis. So maybe I wouldn't necessarily make the commitment of having an on-person staff early. on-person staff person real early, but I would definitely make the believe in other people that they're going to be better at things than I am, and have that belief that it's okay for me to turn over certain parts of my business earlier than I did.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes difficult to let go of those things, isn't it? Because you think you can do it better than someone else can do it, and therefore you keep doing it. But sometimes you have to work out your business rather than in your business. And I think, is that what you're trying to say? I think it is.
Yeah, well, and it's also kind of like sometimes I felt like I didn't know enough about what I was trying to do to know if somebody was doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
And so it almost felt like, well, I have to learn how to do it first to make sure it's getting done how I want to do it. And that was really the wrong way to go about it. I wish I'd have been more aware about that story that I was telling at the time, and more aware of being able to turn that around. That think about it, that every time you bring somebody else on to do something for you, you're cloning yourself. And when you realize, most people don't bring that on because of money constraints. And if you realize what makes you money in your business, you realize, where is that money? How do I make it? How do I go get that money? You're the person that does that. And so figure out how to use your time so that your time is spent on the money-making stuff, because any 10 minutes that you spend on that is going to pay for somebody else to do all those other things.
Yeah, that's so true. I must admit, I'm one of those people that likes to know how to do something first before I'll give it out to somebody else. But sometimes you've got to, I suppose you have got to just accept that other people can do it better and take advantage of that and shortcut it. So that's great. Dana, what I'd like to do now is just move forward a bit and talk about your entrepreneurial journey and your business. So would you say that culture is important from the beginning in a business? Yes, it's the thing. It's the most important thing. You know, it's obviously, besides training your brain, I hope that goes without saying, but they're so hand in hand. The culture that you create, the environment that you set out at the beginning, is what's going to define who is going to come into your awareness, into your world, into your business. And one of the advantages, obviously, it's kind of inherent in my topic, because the topic is about brain training and positivity and thinking positive and telling new stories and casting the vision and thinking better and, you know, creating better outcomes and all of that stuff. Because we were so clear on who we were in the marketplace compared to where other people stand, we created an environment that's really fun and positive, right? And so be clear on that. Who do you want to work with? What kind of an environment do you want to create? What kind of a culture do you have? Who do you want to hang out with day in and day out? Because guess what? That's who you're going to be hanging out with. Yep. That's a good answer. Thank you for that. So knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut that learning curve? Apart from not using Joomla. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, on this topic of environment, and this was the best advice I got early on. And so I don't know if I would say like we would have changed anything, because we got this pretty early on. I don't know how much earlier we'd have gotten it, but the advice was niche down. And don't be afraid to niche down again and niche down again. So when we started out, I thought, we've got a product that will help people grow their businesses quickly, but this is also a product that will help people lose weight. It will help people be better parents. It'll help improve your golf game. I mean, we could have sold Train Your Brain for anything, because it's all the same methods. It's about getting your reticular activating system working on your behalf. And so I had to say, well, you can't market to everybody, right? Because nobody's going to buy that. Who's going to buy a product that says, hey, do you want to lose weight, improve your golf game, be a better parent, and, you know, build your business in record time? Well, people are going to go, you're nuts. And so you pick something, and then when you think you've got a niche, tighten it down even more. So we said, okay, well, we'll do it for small businesses. Well, then we said, okay, no, we'll do it for network marketers. Well, no, we're not going to do it for network marketers. We're going to do it for direct salespeople. In fact, we're going to do it for party plan direct salespeople. Now, when I say, hey, are you a direct sales party planner who wants to build your business quickly? Wow, boom, they hear me. They know, oh, yes, I'm one. Pick me. And so now we can give them the methods. Well, now, of course, after we just owned that niche, and very quickly, this is really the secret to our success between Training Your Brain. When we founded The Mind Aware, from the time that I made that decision to be the trusted authority, and we got our first product out, we did in the
first of all, well, I guess I'll just give you numbers. We did $750,000 in sales within 12 months after that.
Yeah.
We grew our list by 60,000 people, so basically like 300 to 60,000. And it stemmed from claiming a niche, tightening down and claiming a small niche. Now, after that, it became really easy to widen out from that. We owned that space. So then we could expand out and go more into just the entrepreneurial market. And it's funny, just as a side note, now, because we've been going with entrepreneurs, we've been getting all sorts of entrepreneurs, mom and pop shops, brick and mortar, real estate agents, on. And we've realized, okay, we have to tighten again. We have to define a little bit more clearly what kind of entrepreneur we're going for. And so that's the secret. That's really the secret to fast growth, is that combination of training your brain and picking a niche, in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic tip, because I think when you start a business, your temptation is, well, I want to sell to everyone. So why would I want to narrow it down? And it's understanding that narrowing it down you begin to talk to somebody rather than everybody. And I think someone said, if you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. And I think that's so true.
Yeah, your client can find you. And I always use the example of, let's say you've got a social media company and you say, hi, I can teach you how to use Facebook. Well, imagine if you say, hey, dentist, I can teach you how to use Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, now dentists go, hey, that must be the person who can help me.
Yeah, very true. So how much does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business, Dana?
Almost everything. We do everything by which path feels better. That's really the essence of train your brain. I know there's this common idea out there, and I don't mean to be off the rails with anybody who believes wholeheartedly in these ideas, but there's this common idea out there that you have to force yourself to do things you don't want to do. You have to just kind of tough through and all of that stuff. But really, all of that's not good for the brain. When you are forcing yourself to do things, when you're feeling bad in your business, you're not creating the opportunities that you could create. And so for us, we make decisions based on which path is the feel-good path. And because after you choose the feel-good path, so let me give you an example, Neil, to make this more clear, because sometimes it's easier.
Okay.
When we started with Direct Sales Party Plan, there's a big axiom that you have to pick up the phone. You have to force yourself to pick up the phone and call your customers if you're going to be successful. And so we started telling people, well, the problem is not the problem. The problem isn't that you have to pick up the phone in order to be successful. The problem is that you keep talking about this. You keep saying to yourself, I have to pick up the phone or I'm not going to be successful. So you keep thinking about it and you keep talking about it. You don't have to do anything to build your business. You just have to tell a different story about it. The thing that's blocking your success is not that you're not picking up the phone. The thing that's blocking your success is that you're telling yourself, I can't be successful unless I pick up the phone. So if you think about it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a wake-up call for people to go, well, what do I do then? Yeah. Well, then you decide that you're going to build your business a different way. You start shifting your brain to say, you know what? Oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I don't even have time to pick up the phone. People are coming to me. There's so many ways to build my business nowadays. We do texting, we do Facebook. I meet people live. Every time I turn around, somebody wants part of my business. Who has time to make phone calls? Bless those people who have to force themselves to be on the phone. But us, we're training our brains. We're getting the business the way we want to get it. Well, now you get that kind of energy. You put that you out in the world. People are going, who's that person? I want to work with that person, and they want to be around you, and the business just starts to happen. And so really, that's the big shift. I don't even remember the first question anymore, Neil, but that's where I went with it.
It's a good answer. Excellent. Thank you for that.
But yes, gut influence. That's what it was. Gut influence. Yes. And that's everything for us as far as how we decide.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dana, life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. And I believe that the only constant is change in life, because everything's changing all the time. So how do you manage to keep up with change? What do you do?
Well, I just go with whatever's on my radar, because I trust myself to make the right choices. And I go with what's on my radar, and I go with what feels good. And I watch that dialogue of falling into the marketing. Once you get control of your thoughts, you're less likely to run down the tangent just because everybody else is doing it. So a perfect example is Periscope, which eventually we will start doing something regular on Periscope. I think it's a really good medium, but we avoided that panic and that overwhelm of, oh my God, I have to start doing something on Periscope right now because otherwise I'm going to miss the opportunity. We know without a shadow of a doubt we don't miss any opportunities. We're on the path. Everything's perfect. When we get there is when it's the time to be there. And so we deal with constant change the same way we deal with everything, which is being aware of our thoughts, being aware of the dialogue that's going on, making sure that we're telling the right stories, taking control of the direction of our business.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you mentioned Periscope. A few people have actually talked about that recently when I've interviewed them. So it's very much a talking point of things that people think they've got to do right now, isn't it, I think?
Exactly. And there's always going to be that next thing. And it's great for marketers because, of course, you can always market to that panic and that fear. But my preference is in running my business, I want to make sure I'm steering the ship and I'm not in reactive mode. Yeah,
that's the best way to be. So what is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you've chosen it?
Yeah, Ask and It's Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks, Abraham Hicks. It's one of the best pieces of material, and it's totally not business oriented at all. If anything, you'd probably call it the self-development, spiritual kind of realm. It's a Hay House book, but it really has helped me to understand. It made a good connection after Train Your Brain was out. That was like really a good pairing for how you should follow the joyful feeling. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. So Train Your Brain's actually a book as well, is it?
Yes, yep, Train Your Brain.
Okay, so that sounds like another one that you'd recommend.
Yeah, actually, from a business, absolutely, obviously. And from a business standpoint, that if you follow what's in there and then implement whatever kind of things you want to implement on your marketing side, it's an unstoppable combination.
Okay, thank you. Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time that you may be doing other things, such as driving your car or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you with a free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you haven't already signed up, you will qualify. Dana, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to fast forward into the future. So a few questions about that. So what one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
Launch a TV show.
That's a nice big goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's out there.
It worked for Oprah.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Replace Oprah, right? If we're going to make it big, why not just really go over the top?
And what skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
Oh, that is such a good question. What skill, if I was excellent at it? Probably copywriting. I'm continually working at becoming a better copywriter, but I think that's really well invested time.
That's a good answer. You're the
I'll
third
tell you what.
person today who said that.
Can I give one more answer on that?
Sure.
And if you know somebody in this, somebody send me a recommendation on this. I would love to learn more about using neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, with copywriting. I would be real curious about that, how that pairs up. And so, Neil, any suggestions you have, or if anybody out there has them, I think that would be real interesting.
Yeah. I think the nearest I've ever come to that was with a guy called Joe Stumpf, who used it for referral marketing.
Okay, I'm going to make a note of that. Thank you.
And he used the languaging of NLP to talk about referral marketing and getting referrals by asking for them.
Right.
But he did that. I think he's in the real estate market, but he had some great ideas on that.
Very cool. Thanks for the tip.
It's okay. You're welcome. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and your suppliers, what would you like it to say?
that it was transformative and changed their lives. And I think that's been the biggest fun and excitement and kind of unexpected success with the Train Your Brain program is everybody who bought it obviously bought it to grow their businesses quickly, because that's our claim to fame, is quick and easy. But so many of them have taken it and then gone on to use it for parenting or weight loss or relationships or all of these other things. And, they come back and just say this didn't just grow their businesses quickly, it transformed their lives.
Well, that's superb, isn't it? That's quite something. So we're now at the part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets. So, Dana, what's your favourite quote and why have you chosen it and how have you applied it?
Well, I really like, and I'm sure you've had others say it, but this Maya Angelou quote where I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Yeah. Because it's so true. We are feeling beings, and when you communicate with people from that level, that I'm going to go and I'm going to have a meaningful connection where we have good feelings with each other, your life just gets better and better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you have any favourite online resources that you can share with us all?
One of my favorites that I'm into now, and I've got just a whole list of them, but one of my new favorites is unroll.me, UNROLL.me. It just will clean up your inbox to literally where you just have 1 or 2 emails a day coming in your email inbox. Another one I like that's been an eye-opener for me is Rescue Time. If nobody has shared that one, that's a really good one.
No, I've never heard of either of those, actually.
Yeah, you'll love them.
Sounds good.
And they're both free. That's my favorite price.
Yeah, it's a good deal, that. And what's your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
Well, it's simple. Feel good. If you make the priority to feel good, to take action after you feel good, you're going to leverage the power of your action. So if you're having a moment where you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed or upset in your business, don't do anything. Don't try to power through. Don't try to make yourself do something. Go play with the dog. Go take a nap. Go walk in the woods. Put some blasting music on in your office and dance and get yourself into that good feeling place. Because when you're in that good feeling place, now you can work for 15 minutes and you've got the leverage that you'd have an hour of overwhelm. So It's just a great way to leverage your time. Feel good first. Feel good first, then take action. That's intentional action.
Okay. Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Dana's favourite resource or her favourite book, you can get the links offered on Dana's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Dana or Dana Wilde in the search box and it should come up. Dana, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your business?
Not really, but I not so much about my business, but just to let everybody else know that we always have the big picture. We're always comparing ourselves by where we want to be down the road. And instead, just keep looking back at how far you're coming. You're taking those baby steps. You are making progress. You're making progress. You're making progress. Just keep saying that. I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better. I'm learning what I need to learn. And keep doing that good dialogue because you'll get there. That's how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Dana, it has been an absolute honour having you on here. You've really provided us with some useful information and some great insight into being an entrepreneur. And you've certainly given me and the listeners lots to think about. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me. I love your show, and I know you're always trying to help people find easier and better ways to do things, Neil, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.